Hi, I am your science teacher. Let me guide you in using 5 learners material in Science 9, published by the Department of Education, Region 4A, Calabarzon. Our lesson for the 6th week is about species extinction. This lesson will relate species extinction to the failure of populations or organisms to adapt to abrupt changes in the environment. Extinction happens when the last member of the species dies. A species becomes extinct if it can no longer adapt to changes in the environment and consistently compete with other organisms in its environment. From the research entitled Cause and Consequence of Species Extinctions, it concluded that although extinctions are a normal part of evolution, human modifications to the planet in the last few centuries and perhaps even millennia have greatly accelerated the rate at which extinctions occur. Habitat loss remains the main driver of extinctions, but it may act synergistically with other drivers such as overharvesting and pollution, and in the future, climate change. Large-bodied species, rare species, and habitat specialists are particularly prone to the extinction as a result of rapid human modifications of the planet. Extinctions can disrupt vital ecological processes such as pollination and seed dispersal, leading to cascading losses, ecosystem collapse, and a higher extinction rate overall. We are living in a dynamic changing environment and most species are dependent on it. There are organisms that can easily adapt to the changing environment depending on the resistance into it. There are organisms that can adapt easily, but others are not.
What is extinction, and how does a species become extinct? To extinguish something means to stop it from existing, like blowing out a candle flame. When a plant or animal species that once lived stops existing entirely, we say that that species has become extinct. Why do certain species of plants and animals sometimes become extinct? According to the theory of evolution, individuals of the same species show a range of variations. Some individuals have characteristics that are better suited to their environment, making them more likely to survive and reproduce, whilst others are less well adapted. These less well adapted individuals may eventually fail to reproduce, and eventually their genes are removed from the population. If an entire species fails to adapt to changes in its environment or compete with other organisms for resources, and its birth rate is lower than its death rate, then it will become extinct. It may surprise you to know that over 99% of all species that have ever lived are now extinct. Typically, most organisms become extinct within 10 million years of their first appearance, although some species have survived without much change for much longer than this. These long-surviving organisms are sometimes called living fossils. The African aardvark and the Himalayan red panda are 2 examples of such living fossils, as both have remained genetically unchanged for millions of years. From time to time, an event takes place on Earth which causes a mass extinction. These mass extinctions are identified by a significant and often devastating change in the number and variety of organisms alive at one time. The most famous mass extinction, called the KT extinction event, occurred about 65 million years ago and involved the extinction of the dinosaurs. The most devastating extinction event happened 251 million years ago and completely eradicated 96% of all known species. This was probably due to a comet or asteroid impact. Today, many species are becoming extinct at an alarming rate. This is of great concern to biologists and ecologists. It is currently estimated that 50% of all living species will be extinct by the year 2100. But what can we do to slow down or halt this spiral of extinction? Stopping habitat destruction is a key starting point, as well as becoming greener, lowering our carbon footprint, and using sustainable products. We may be able to affect this, and it's up to all of us to play our part.
Now is the time to embrace change. because even in the pandemic, we are experiencing perhaps disappearance of living organisms that even human beings cannot adopt. But creative innovations are everywhere. Discover new approaches instead of just waiting for solutions and blaming others for mistakes. The only way to succeed over time is to exceed the effort of making the environment safe for everyone. For the succeeding activities, you will need your big notebook and ballpen. Your first learning task is about adapting in the new normal life. You're going to write your answer in your big notebook. For this task, you're going to write a simple paragraph about the changing environment in this time of pandemic. Please cite at least 3 changes that you need to adapt in order to survive in the new normal. Please be guided with our example for the first learning task about adapting in the new normal life. Kindly complete the paragraph below. For the second learning task, you will need to know the extinct animals in the Philippines in the period of Pleistocene, Holocene, and Miocene. Your task is to complete the table to be familiar with the extinct animals of the Philippines. Identify their common names or scientific name. Use the pool of words below. Please be guided with our example of the second learning task. For the third learning task, you must know the causes of extinction of species. With that, you're going to match column A with column B. Another activity is you're going to make an advocacy board. You have learned from the previous activity that one of the causes of extinction of species is disease or epidemics. Relating it to our present situation, do you think someday human beings will become extinct also because of diseases and pandemics? What program or projects you would like to propose to avoid the extinction of human beings to happen? Please write your advocacy program or projects in your notebook. Please be guided with our example on how you will write your answers for the third learning task. For the fourth learning task, we're going to have an activity that increases your awareness and interest to do something for the changing environment. For this task, you will prepare a simple proposal to show your thoughts on the issue. Below is the research entitled The Conflict Between Adaptation and Dispersal in Maintaining Biodiversity in Changing Environments. Make an analysis of the abstract of this research by identifying the objectives or purpose of the research, methodology or design, and findings. Please be guided on how you will write your research analysis about adaptation to changing environment.